the first proposition that I'm going to talk about with you all is a proposition of policy. And so if you look at that handout that I've given to you, we can start to look on page 33 at this idea of a proposition of policy. These may be the way, well, I guess not. I mean, these are, I was going to say these are ones that you're probably most familiar with. But a proposition of policy is going to assert that your audience take action on something. Does that make sense to y'all? So it's going to urge them to take action. So if you want to write that down there. But there are two different types of speeches of policy. And this is important to note when we're getting into policy. There are speeches for, as it says, passive agreement, and there are speeches to gain immediate action. So speeches of policy that are based on passive agreement are ones that we cannot take action on in this moment, but when the opportunity should arise, we will be able to go forth and take action on it. So if I wanted, like, for example, to persuade my audience that Santa Monica College should move to a quarter system, or to persuade Santa Monica College they should move to a quarter system. Can they do that today? Probably not. Is there going to be some time that goes into it? Yes. And thus, this would be something for passive agreement. To persuade my audience to vote to repeal marijuana legalization in California. Can we do that today? Gotta wait another what? Gotta wait another 4 years to do that. But I can start advocating it for today. And you know that people are, I'm sure. Right? So in that case, this would be a speech where I want you to take action, but you can't do it today, but you will in the future. Now there are also the ones for immediate action. To persuade my audience to start drinking water. Can you do that today? Persuade my audience to eat breakfast. Can you do that today? To persuade my audience to take a public speaking class next semester. Can they sign up for that? Does this make sense? To persuade my audience to donate blood. Probably go. Go on to. It's be more of like an immediate action. Things that you can literally go out and do. Is that clear? All right, great. So determining which category yours falls into will be important because of the way that this speech is structured. So if we're seeing some of the examples of policy propositions here, let's look at some of the samples. The federal government should legalize recreational marijuana. How do we know this is a speech of policy? Okay, so here's a key.
Should.
What'd you say?
Should.
Should. A great way to note you have a policy is that it's usually going to have the word should or should not in the title. So that's a good way to note. But, for example, to persuade my audience that they should donate their time at Habitat for Humanity versus to persuade my audience to donate their time for Habitat for Humanity. One has should, one doesn't, but both are saying what? The same thing. They both want us to take action. So it's not always going to be included, but it's really going to be up to you as the reader to say, is this something they want me to take action on? You cannot have multiple propositions. It's only going to be fact, value, or policy. So make sure that again, when you're writing that proposition, that there is only one thing you want us to say yes to. So let's look through some of these. SMC should not recruit students from other colleges. Policy, okay, good. You should visit a dentist twice a year. You should donate blood, policy. You should take a public speaking class. You should not vote for Jones. All of these are policies. So is anybody thinking that they may have a policy already on their hands that you're trying to urge us to take action? You want us to do something? What was yours? If you don't mind sharing. Okay, so to change the prices on just moving? That seems like that may be a lot to take on in 7 minutes. You may want to narrow your focus to simply parking, or narrow your focus to something like, you know what's always unjust to me? I don't know if you ever feel this way. Why are camera tickets so much more expensive? Do you ever think that? I know that they have to maintain the technology. Maybe that's what it is. That's not my fault.
Those are dumb anyways because they're easy to get out of and they're really,
If your face isn't right there. Or they don't have the video. Chad's like, oh my gosh. I thought I made a stop. And then they have the video on there. We went in and clicked on it. It's like, like right there. I was like, well, you're guilty. There's no way you're getting out of that one, buddy. It's right there. No, Chad's got it. So what I want each of you to understand for propositions of policy is that this is the psychology of an audience when it comes to propositions of policy. When you want somebody to do something, you have to establish, well, let me put it this way. When you were younger and your parents wanted you to clean up your room, your first answer wasn't no. At least mine wasn't. But your first answer was typically, why? Why do I need to clean up my room? I'm perfectly happy in all of this filth. This is not bothering me. And your parents would be like, it's bothering me. And you're like, you don't have to live here. And they're like, yeah, but you're under my roof, right? It would be like going back and all the back and forth. If you want somebody to get up off their butt and do anything, you have to establish that there is first a need to get up off their butt. Because think about how complacent you were as a child sitting in all that filth. It did not bother you at all. And your parents just saying, because I said so, or because you live under my roof, just aggravated you even more because it didn't make any sense. And that's how it is when people want you to get up and do something, and they're like, because I said so, because it's good for the world. You're like, that's not enough. I'm going to sit here a little bit longer. So what we have to think about when we have a proposition of policy is we have to first establish that there is some kind of need. And then we have to be ready to offer them some kind of plan, and that plan must be practical depending upon our audience. So in regards to this idea of need, that is going to indicate, well, first it's a check for you. Is what I'm asking the audience to do, is there a need for it? What's going on in the world? In essence, what are the problems that are emerging from not having my policy? What are the problems that are going to emerge from me not cleaning my room? Like, mom, and my mom, like, if she knew, like, my biggest fear is like going to jail and then dying. She would like to use those against me. Amanda, and she used to use this one all the time. I'd be like, why do I need to clean up these clothes? And she'd be like, because if there is an earthquake, you will not be able to get to the door in time because you will trip over all these clothes and then you will die. Now, very dramatic, illogical reasoning. I would mark you off for it, but I was like, right? So it's like, there is a problem established that's going, what else can I do to motivate her to change her mind? This piece of pizza is sitting here. I am perfectly happy with this piece of pizza sitting here for another day. I may want to bite out of it. But right? And so my mom would say, like, Amanda, if you leave that piece of pizza there, we are going to get ants. And the ants will come in the middle of the night and they will crawl into your ear and they will eat your brain and you will die. So we had to give me reason as to why to clean that up, or motivation, or enough realization or education or knowledge on the topic that you're like, crap, this is a problem. even know this was going on. I didn't even know this was an issue. So how a proposition of, and let me just, well, I'm going to take this really quick. So how a proposition of policy is organized can come in two different forms. If each of you is trying to say that you want to change like a law or a policy, or something should be repealed, or perchance something should be implemented, then I encourage you to follow a three-step main point. And what that looks like is, the first main point is establishing the problems. And so these are the problems that exist from not having your policy, or in turn, the status quo. So even in the presidential election, if you watch a candidate address somebody because they want you to vote for them, they're first going to establish all the problems with either the current situation or perchance the problems that are going on in the world that need a change. The next thing that you do in this policy organization is you are going to lay out the causes of these problems. Now, people are often like, wait, isn't that the same thing as the problems? No. This can also be referred to as the opposition. This is where you address those who disagree, or the arguments made for why the current policy is correct, or why that current policy needs to hold. And the last thing that we do is we offer and present solutions. This is where we give you, and this is your third main point, is solutions. This is where we provide our audience with a practical plan to implement their solution. Does that make sense, y'all? And the reason that we say practical is, one, they have to be able to do it, but two, they have to be able to, your audience should be able to see how this plan will take care of these problems. Does that make sense? So if your plan is going to alleviate or take away altogether, or at least like reduce some of the issues that are existent, then that's where we're going to go with your solutions. So if yours is a one-step plan, for example, like if you want to implement your program, then it's like, here's 3 steps to get that going. That would be the plan that you would promote. And you would talk within each of those steps how that's going to alleviate. However, you are also more than welcome, and we can talk about this as you all start generating your own ideas, is that we can also establish how the problems part can potentially also have solutions inside them. But for the purpose of writing your thesis, let me just really quickly do this. If I want to persuade my audience not to drink and drive, now this isn't necessarily a policy that is like a law or something. This is me just telling you not to drink and drive. People out there are still drinking and driving. It's a problem. And so many of us have maybe drinking and driven before. You don't have to admit that out loud. But that would be the first thing that you need to do. So the first let's look at the dire problems that come from drinking and driving. And so, so your A and your B and your C are all going to be those specific problems. Absolutely. What's a problem from drinking and driving? What? Okay, so if maybe I hit someone, so I get in an accident. Okay, so good. So there's like the possibility of accidents. And that's either to like property or maybe to cars, right? What else? Oh my gosh, okay, good. You can kill someone or you can kill yourself. So death, B, and then your 1 would be kill someone, 2 would be kill someone else. And it's funny because the one that you're bringing up probably next is the one that you're like really concerned about when you get behind the wheel, because most people are like, oh my gosh, why would I kill someone? I'm awesome. And then so young, now you're worried that you're going to get a what? Okay, good. So when everybody gets in the car, they're like, oh my gosh, but isn't DUI a problem? Yeah, absolutely. It's not just something to be scared about. It is a problem. So see, a DUI is a problem. Now within each of these, you don't need to simply tell me like this is what's happening. That's great. No, you have to establish that that is a problem that needs changing. It has to be dire. It has to be drastic. It has to be something that makes people get up. So it's like when you're describing the DUI to college students, do you know how much a DUI costs? About $10,000. And how long does that DUI stay on your record? 10 years. And how much does your insurance go up to when you get a DUI? About $600 a month. So, all of you also are in college, right? And you're going to be hopefully getting a, what, job someday? And you're going to go in, you're like, I totally got my college degree, worked so hard. Here's my application. And on that application it says, like, have you ever been arrested and been convicted? And you're like, yes. And it's like drinking and driving. But you're like a straight A student and you've done so much work. And then they're going to look at another person who's like, I kind of didn't even go to college. But you know what I didn't do? Make a poor decision, like drinking and driving. And so who do you think they're going to hire? The individual who was responsible or the individual who was not? Oh my goodness. So this DUI is a what? Problem, people. For so many reasons, for specifically college students. We have to make it relate in that way. So once we've established that this is in turn a problem, now we still haven't done our job. We still haven't convinced everyone. Because some people are still going to be against us. Some people are like, oh, it'll never happen to me, or this won't go down. And the same thing is with most situations, right? It's like there is always a target audience to whom we are looking to. This part of your speech should be where you either address the people who are against you or the people who are on the fence. Because both of these areas bring up reasons as to why they're not going to say yes, or why they can't say a heartfelt yes. So we looked at things like our target audience. That's who our target audience is. So, like, for example, I tell the story of my mom who, like, was a big Republican back in the day, and during the George Bush times, it was like, they would call the House and be like, so can we guarantee your vote for this next Bush term? And by that time, my mom was like, no. So she gets on the phone, and my mom loves these conversations. And the person is like, so, Mrs. Aquino, can we guarantee your vote for the next election? And my mom's like, I don't think so. And the person says, why? They should have just settled in for a long winter's nap at that point. But instead of like putting down the phone and like starting to text, that intern instead did what with my mom's answers? What? Well, I'm going to say that they're going to write all of those answers down. Because the reason that my mom isn't sure is the reason that George Bush, when he comes to California and speaks to 60-year-old women, those are the things that he should talk about. You shouldn't talk about his own stuff. You should be like, so I hear that some of you aren't ready to vote for me because you don't know what I'm going to do with women's health. Let me tell you exactly what I'm going to do. Some of you may be under the presumption that I want to keep going on this war. However, that is not true. Let me tell you how I plan on getting out. So what your job to do is to bring up reasons that the opposition doesn't want your policy, doesn't do your policy, isn't implementing your policy, isn't going along with your policy. But we don't ever just leave it there. Instead, you are going to show them the error of their ways. And we will work on that refutation and writing process, but for the time being, if you do have a proposition of policy, make sure that you're doing some extensive research, not only on your own topic, but reasons as to why people don't want your topic employed. And that's why I said go to that opposing viewpoints, because you can read the opposition, you can gain like what their reasoning is, and then what your job is going to be is to find evidence that contradicts their reasoning. Does that make sense to y'all? So that then we not only suggested that there is a need, there's a problem for all of you, but now those people who are on the fence and on the opposition have no way that they can poke a hole in your argument and not say yes at the end. Does that make sense to y'all? And so, for example, in this case of DUIs, why do people drink and drive? You know that there's some serious issues, but people still do it.
Because they're not responsible.
They're not responsible, but
They don't want to leave their car behind.
What?
They want to leave their car behind.
Why do I want to leave my car? It's a perfect reason. I can't leave my car here. I gotta get my car home.
They think that they're under,
So bad
or they think that they're under water because we point out.
I'm fine. I've only had a couple drinks. I'm fine. I'm fine. I swear, I'm big. You know, I have a high tolerance. I'm fine. Yeah, you can. And so, when you say to somebody who's, I'm fine. I drink a lot. Like, have you ever heard your friend say this? And then you'll just say, like, no, man, you're not fine. And they're like, yes, I am. No, you're not. Yes, I am. That doesn't get anywhere. So now we need to provide evidence. No, you're not fine. So you can be totally fine. You can be a functioning alcoholic. I mean, my dad was a police officer, and he retired in 1995, but my father was a police officer. He tells the story of this man who he pulled over, like, just for, like, a taillight, totally totally present. Had to do all the tests, passed, but he's like, I can smell this guy's breath. So finally he did like the breathalyzer. It was like a 0.3 something, or it was like 3 points. It was something ridiculous. Something that was like way above the limit. This guy drinks every day. He's a functioning alcoholic. So of course he's fine. But it doesn't matter if you think you're fine. It doesn't matter if you get home safely. The second you blow a number that suggests you've been drinking, you will go to jail. So even if you're fine, which I'm sure you are, you're going to go to jail. And if you accidentally hit somebody because you were like doing something else, like changing the radio while you were fine, you're really now going to get in trouble. Does this make sense to you? So it's like starting to just make that clear, showing them the evidence of like how much you can actually drink. Like they put those BAC like little things on there for a purpose, because literally your body just can't metabolize alcohol like that fast. So you can be fine, but the numbers are going to be numbers, and when those numbers literally do not lie, and that's what's going to take you to jail. Does that make sense to you? So the last thing that you do then is like once you've gotten everybody on your side, you start to offer solutions. And you're like, look, so now we're all to the point that we need not drink and drive. But like I said with smoking, everybody knows this information. You've heard not to drink and drive for years, but people still do it. So what are the new, novel, exciting things that you can do to avoid having people drink and drive? So if I was giving a cause like I don't want to leave my car, up in Santa Clarita where my parents live, there's a couple up there who does, I had one too many spirits one night at the local wine bar with some of my friends, and I did not want to leave my car because I didn't want to have to come back in again in the morning. I was like, dang it. And then this woman goes, oh, there's a company right here. So this couple comes, it's a wife and a husband, and I came to find out later that they had lost somebody to drinking and driving. And they provide a service where they come, one of them gets in your car and drives with you, and the other one follows behind, and then they drop you off, and then they go home in their car together. They have it in Santa Monica, except they do it with scooters. Somebody scoots to you. And they pack up the scoots, put it in your trunk, drive you home, and then they scoot back. Now you may be saying, oh my gosh, that's so expensive. You know what's really expensive? A $10,000 DUI. So you always can go back and compare it to something like that. What?
You always get Uber as a solution as well.
Yes. Yeah, well, you can, yeah, but I was just saying for the car drives home, right? Like, how am I getting my car there? So, like, figure out what's new, what's novel, what don't people know, what are the options that they have in order to keep them from drinking and driving. And this could help give us some options that, yes, the next time that goes in, I will put that into action. I will put it in a plan.
This is step number 3.
That's the solutions, yes. So that is problem, cause, solution, order. So what does that thesis sound like? It sounds something like, to persuade my audience to not drink and drive, I will first describe the problems with drinking and driving. Then I will describe the causes as to why people drink and drive. And finally, I will offer some solutions to not drink and drive. Does that make sense, y'all? Okay. Now, there is an alternative way to organize this policy speech as well. And it is something called Monroe's motivated sequence. Monroe's motivated sequence works hand in hand with this Maslow's hierarchy of needs. And it develops a pattern to get your audience to take action. When you watch an infomercial or when you watch any type of like marketing or advertising campaign, it's typically based upon Monroe's motivated sequence. And so when I had you grab this organizational pattern up at the front of class, what this does is it lays out the same idea as we just went through for main point. In this case, the main points that you will be given are need, satisfaction, visualization, and action. Those are your 4 main points. So the same thing, so if you'll see, like there is the attention getting step. This is like the attention getter, but that's like your introduction, and then there's obviously a conclusion. But we want to go through each of these. So if you'll see, these are on here, you'll see like for the need. What is the purpose of that main point? It's pretty much the same as the what? Problems paragraph behind us. This establishes that there is a need. However, this does not consider the causes. And instead what it does is it shows how your policy will satisfy that need. So in turn, it's going to, like it says here, A, the purpose of this statement is to address the proposition that will alleviate the problem and satisfy the individual's interests or needs or wants, etc. So you are going to give them this policy here, and you're going to show us how it will satisfy each of these problems. So, like, for example, if you wanted somebody to, like, buy a organizer that you use in school, the need may be that, like, people are not keeping their schedules. They're overbooking themselves and dropping out of class. They are unable to keep appointments because they can't keep them all, like, remembered, blah, 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 blah. Well, do I have a plan for you? So then you're going to go in and you're going to show us how this planner does just that. It takes care of each of those problems. And you'll give us some evidence to support it. The main point after that is the visualization. So the visualization main point allows you to provide the audience with what their life will look like in the event that that planner comes into play. They like set up this great idea, or you're like, oh my gosh, look at how great these people's lives have been. So if you think about infomercials, this is where they're like, once I use it, I started getting tons of things up of this, right? But the other alternative that you could do is you could use a visualization step to show them what their life would look like in the event that they they don't take in that policy. Does that make sense, y'all? And then the final step is the action step, or this call for commitment, or this call to action. And so we pretty much just encourage them, like, these are the little things that you can, in fact, do, so much like the solution area. And then there you give them the specific tips to achieving that proposition. So the thesis for something like this is more like to encourage each of you to buy the Witten Planner of Fun. I'm first going to describe to you some of the needs that you may be experiencing without this planner. And I'm going to show you how this planner is going to help take care of each of those needs so you never have to worry about it again. And then we're going to describe to you a little bit about how your life is going to look with this planner in it. And finally, I'm going to give you some steps to purchasing and obtaining this calendar all on your own. Does that make sense? So I see that it's the need, that it's the solution, the visualization, and the action. Does that make sense to y'all, depending upon your policy? And how do you identify that you have a proposition of policy? It will typically have the word should or should not in it, or it'll encourage you to take action. And the problem cause solution step is typically best when used with some kind of policy or law, implementation, etc. Not that your everyday, like, to persuade my audience to take a dance class wouldn't work. It would still work in that statement. But things like to persuade my audience to go see a specific movie, probably more Monroe's. To buy a product, it's usually going to be better with Monroe's. So think about that. Like if you have a product or you have like a water or something that you want your audience to buy or purchase or watch, that would be the best way to go, would be with Monroe's. But otherwise, you could do the straight up problem cause solution. Does this make sense to each of you? No. Yes, okay. So what I have is I have a video of the